You may not see it on the menu, but at this James Beard nominated hotspot in Franklin County, the chef's real specialty is training the next generation of culinary talent. We're getting the dish today on Across the Fence. Hello, Vermont, and greetings from Cafe Monette in St. Albans. If you've ever worked in a restaurant, you know that between prep and pastry and cleaning and inventory, the work never stops. And that's before you even do service. So I'm thrilled that chefs Adam Monette and Tyler Como just agreed to let us set up and do a show right here in the dining room today, taking a quick pause before heading back to the kitchen. Chefs, what is a typical day like here at Cafe Monette? How early do you get started?
So usually 8 o'clock I drop my daughters off to school right here in town, and then I come right here, get started. Deliveries are usually either here or going to be here soon, and then we get going. Tyler's usually running out getting things that I forgot to order, and I'm waiting on him to show up.
He's like, that resonates, that rings true.
And then everybody starts rolling in probably around 9, and prep day, everyone's out by like 5, and then normally our normal open schedule from Wednesday to Saturday, everybody's here from 8 to 10:30.
Yeah, it's a long day.
Mondays and Tuesdays are kind of we call them our off days, because they're like a normal 9 to 5, and then the rest of the week is...
So Monday and Tuesday is the day where you live like a civilian.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, and the rest of the time it's like grind, hustle, hustle. Well, how many people are there in the kitchen?
We have about, 5, 6 people right now, including us, I guess.
Depending on the day.
Ideally on a good day.
Who's on vacation,
Yeah. And how many of those walked in the door already knowing how to cook classic French cuisine?
Oh, yeah. I don't even know if I fully know how to cook classic French cuisine.
I mean, a lot of people have experience from other places they worked at, and then they bring that in here, and then just like every other place you work at, you're tailoring it to your perception of like how it's supposed to be done. So it's like, even if someone has a good foundation, sometimes there's missing pieces, and we see those gaps, and we also try to keep it within the theme here of this space.
Yeah. Well, I guess, and I said classic French cuisine because I guess now I've sort of buried the lead, which is that's the style of cuisine that you're doing here, basically, right? It's kind of rooted in
like
classic
the base
French.
of everything we're doing.
Yeah.
But of course, we're kind of taking things in our own direction. Certain dishes, stuff like that. But that's kind of the base of when we're looking at recipes or looking at dishes, we're always looking kind of at those classic French dishes, classic French recipes as the base, and then we're kind of going from there.
Yeah.
And working in Vermont products and local regional products, and and then Brennan, one of the prep chefs, he's like you're getting weird. He's like this is weird. He's like, this is really French for French people. And I was like, oh, we'll give it a go. We'll try it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and so classic, when we say classic French, I mean, it's a style of cuisine. It's also a style of training, right? It kind of identifies the way a kitchen runs. And I wanted to stick with that idea a minute because I know that training is a big part of what you are thinking about here at the restaurant. So, Tyler, you started your culinary education with Adam, but back in high school, right?
Yes. Yeah, so me, Henry, Brad, I feel like almost everyone in the kitchen here was a student of Adam's at some point. So I started with him my freshman year of high school, kind of the introductory cooking class at the tech center. I don't remember why I chose that class. I think maybe it got me out of school for a couple hours or something. I was like, I'll do this, get to eat some food.
The old eat some food.
Yeah, and then I started that class and I stuck with it through high school or honors school afterwards. So obviously it had some sort of impact on me.
Yeah, it's where you got bit.
Yeah.
And so you said Northwest, so that's the Northwest Career and Technical Center, right? And you taught there for a while.
13 years.
For 2 years. Okay, yeah. And you left there to open Cafe Monette, right? But that really hasn't been the end of teaching, I would say, for you.
I mean, there's always this continuation, and it's like I remember the first thing I always say to a new class is that you can't cook good food until you've tasted good food. You need a frame of reference in order to make something. And so many individuals, they come from a background, or they could have worked at a place, and they have this example of what something should think it tastes like, and then they try it, after it's kind of developed, and so we do that here, and it's nice. A lot of these guys are still having those moments where it's like, oh, that's how you do it. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
But that's the huge piece about cooking in the trades. It's just like, if it's not transmitted to another individual, it's gone. And some of these techniques and these things, I mean, people don't see them, and the more people don't see them, the less anyone will see them.
Yeah.
And we see that, we see that with a lot of specialized, cooking applications. Whether it's in charcuterie, and it's not just in here. It's all over. It's like there's very few people, in Paris that make jambon de Paris anymore.
Yeah.
There's like very few
Yeah.
artisans that are doing that kind of stuff. So, I mean, and once that's gone and nobody's interested in doing it anymore, it's just gone.
Yeah, it's dead knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sad when you're somebody who loves food and you think about whole categories of production and preparation that you're like, nobody knows how to do that anymore.
Yeah,
like, who knows how to make a tête de veau, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what interests me, when I was a kid in the first place taking this class, is just like, I didn't grow up eating at crazy restaurants, or I didn't know what good food was, and that was kind of my first experience, like realizing, like, that you can make it, like making bread, like all these things can be made from scratch. Like you almost don't even know it's possible until you see it done for the first time. So it's super fascinating.
Yeah. So you're also doing some things here in the kitchen, like you're working with the Académie Culinaire de France program.
So I was inducted in 2023 to the Academy, and they're essentially, at its core, their whole mission is to transmit, French history and culture and cuisine, and to the next generation. So it's just like this continuous commitment. They've been around for 140 years, and so it's one of those things where, by extension, it's like everybody's connected to this larger group of chefs and this larger bank of knowledge, that they can access and grab, and through that is that commitment to, like, okay, we're here. Why are we here? It's to cook food, and it's always longer, harder, more challenging to do everything from scratch, but it's also more rewarding, and it's also 9 times out of 10, almost 10 that is better product.
Well, in Vermont, you used to have more culinary instruction. Like, you both graduated from NECI, right? New England Culinary Institute, not in Vermont any longer. We don't have any post like high school, like we don't have any formal culinary schools in Vermont anymore.
Yeah, no hospitality training. Whether it's front of the house, I think there's some pockets of some small pieces, but a lot of the community colleges have since done away with those little programs. Which is wild because of the amount of industry we have here in Vermont, and how much tourism we have, and we feed so many individuals, and we do all these things. So you think we have the greatest produce, we have all these great access to things, but it's like places that celebrate them are like just pockets stretched out. There is fantastic food in Vermont. I mean, there's no question.
Well, so what we got then, so then now you're like with this model, so you can either do on-the-job training or culinary school. So pros and cons, and I think that you actually both are not convinced that going to culinary school is the way forward for young chefs.
Well, no, it's hard because we're probably biased, as we could say it because we both went to culinary school, I guess, right? So it's hard to say from that perspective, but I will say, like, culinary school does give you a base of knowledge when you're as soon as you graduate, that is going to take you a little bit longer to learn out in the field, and you're going to also have to go to very specific places to learn these types of skills, right? So that's a plus, but at the end of the day, it's like, I've worked at so many places. I have this 10, 15 years experience now outside of school, and it's like so much of the learning just comes from that hands-on, just working in a restaurant where you're dealing with real customers, real money, real product, and that's a huge
I think at the end of the day, it can be slower, in one aspect, but there's without question a need for education.
And
it's
you're doing a lot of that in the kitchen.
Well, it's that
with your group.
theoretical knowledge. There's an applied knowledge, but that understanding of why things are happening, that's critical. It's just like, to cook something well, once is, a lot of times just luck.
Yeah, exactly. You want to get beyond the happy accident and get to the place where then you're like, I can replicate this every single time.
So I think that that formalized piece, and then the question is, like, why aren't more restaurants investing in their staff, and and nurturing them, fostering the individuals that are really showing interest within this space.
Well, you are, and that's working out really well here. So let's talk a little bit about the restaurant, because you got the James Beard nomination for a semifinalist for Best New Restaurant. And I went through and looked, and by my count, there are only 5 Vermont restaurants who have had that distinction since 1986. So how did that feel?
We were kind of shocked. I mean, like,
I thought he was joking with me.
Yeah.
He's like holding his phone down here, and I was just like, this like, because we were open for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I was just like, is this real life?
Yeah. I mean, and at the time too, to be honest, like when we heard about the nomination, like we were like right in the middle of it. So like every day it was just a grind and a struggle, and it does sometimes get to the point like, because we're making everything from scratch, it's like, man, it's so much work, and it's like, not that like we need to feel recognized for it necessarily, but it's like it's kind of an affirmation like you're on the right track, and like doing things this way, is the right way to do it. So
I would just say, like, we always get the best news on the worst days.
That's good. That's kismet. Well, how does it feel to be doing this in Franklin County too, where you're both from? Because you could have done this. I mean, you have the kinds of skill, you have the know-how. You could do this anywhere, but you're cooking here, in St. Albans, where this is home. So how does that feel?
I mean, it's kind of surreal. Like, I think the thing is, like, if you're doing good food, I think, like, at first when I told people we were opening here, they're like, there's no market for that. People don't care about that, which is, like, it's completely not true.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely not true. We've had, like, the whole community has, like, shown up, like, every single week. We have people show up because they're looking for, like, better food, better product. Like, this is what they're looking for. The fact, it's like, it can be done anywhere, right? So, like, this is such a great community. This city is super supportive.
Yeah.
So, like, the people are super supportive. Like, we love being here.
Yeah, I can't pick up my daughters without somebody running into me and, like, saying something, incredibly kind of the space. And the city has been fantastic. St. Albans, I mean, I moved here, seems like 15, 16 years ago to St. Albans, and St. Albans has changed a lot. But I think there's always space for, for something like this, where there's people that are actively working on, improving the community. So.
Yeah, well, let's say about it. Cafe Monette is located on Main Street in St. Albans, and it's open for dinner Wednesday through Saturday. You can and should make reservations through the restaurant's website. The address is right there on your screen. I have to say, thank you, chefs. I know that this is a busy time of day, Tuesday, prep day. You got to get back in the kitchen, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us about what you're doing here. Keep up the good work with the chefs. We need that, all across the state. We're all proud of you. Thanks so much. And as always, thank you, Vermont, for learning and exploring with me today, and thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.